First item.
Zendy's in the bathroom, he said.
Okie dokie. Oh, we'll begin. First item on the list. Where is it at? The Highway Department. Now, I actually have a script page written for this item. I have alluded to my contempt for this gaggle of gleeful obstruction several times now, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who begins to boil over the moment I see an orange barrel as I'm driving. My vitriol for pavement pushers first began nearly 10 years ago when I was but a young and nubile chap puttering around in my mother's asparagus green minivan as I was heading for the dentist. A 60-mile round trip. As I began to make my way into the suburban ridiculousness around the Savannah area, I saw a giant sign with a flashing arrow directing the crawling traffic into the left lane. 90 minutes and 7 miles of orange reflective barrels later, and I finally coasted up on the cause of this traffic disaster. 6 people in high visibility vests throwing rocks off of a bridge into the river below, accompanied by one guy with a leaf blower. Getting paid to stop the world and play poo sticks in the middle of the afternoon. Not after midnight when they wouldn't be ruining the economic stability of southeast Georgia. Not on a night shift when everything that anyone would want to drive to is closed. No, we need to go and fart around on the side of the road, accomplishing precisely nothing, burning possibly tens of thousands of dollars in gasoline as everyone parks on the highway for nearly 2 hours, watching in horror as their taxes are spent on 7 idiots playing in the street. And even if they actually had been doing something productive, there's still no reason for them to be on a day shift. If you want to prance around with a little stop sign and block a major highway, then doing it whenever traffic is at a minimum capacity is the requirement. Asphalt doesn't turn into pumpkins after midnight. I hate orange barrels. I hate being funneled into one lane. I don't like being stuck and having to sit there with the engine idling and the air conditioner turning hot over hours of sitting in exchange for, like 50 feet of barrels that have been set up so that guys can, sweep or whatever. And has to be during peak traffic time. Like, there's no reason for that to be done during the day. It should be a nighttime or overnight project because the road's not going anywhere. But there's people that need to go places. So just in general, I absolutely despise that. And I will, no matter what is said, I will absolutely be putting that in F tier or the equivalent of that. I just have to find a good picture of a barrel.
And the worst is when they work on a section of road, they fix it, and then not even a year later, they're back out there fixing it again.
Yep, it's like the Dukes of Hazzard. Tom Wopat's character, what's his name? Luke notices that the sidewalk in front of Boss Hogg's office, his courthouse, or whatever it is that he works in, is always having the sidewalk replaced. Just every single episode, it's a running gag that they're always having the sidewalk replaced there, and he makes a remark about how it's designed to self-destruct after 30 days, and that's pretty much what the highway department does with their roads. It always seems like no matter what.
A lot of times they're contracted and they're under union, so if you can work on the same area over and over again, you get paid for the same amount.
Every picture that I have in the first video, I had to take because trying to find pictures on the internet, like all the different clip art websites, Shutterstock, whatnot, you have to pay them to be able to use their picture. And in 2025, why? Why are we having to do that? That doesn't make any sense.
I want to know who copyrights the picture of a traffic cone, though.
It happens. I pulled the thing up and it was like, you can license this picture. It's licensable because they'll have in Google. They'll have the little tag on it that says licensable. Why would I buy a picture of a traffic cone?
Should be on its tier on its own.
Yeah. Okay, I have the orange barrel on the tier list. I'm putting it in F tier. I realize that this is a 3-man band, but I insist that barrels go in the F tier.
Are they the drums?
Yes.
I don't know if there's anyone who's happy to see them.
Drums. No, I don't think it's ever a harbinger of good things to come. Whenever you have a barrel coming up on you. All right, so orange barrel has been put in F tier. The next item is long, loud intros on YouTube videos. Now, I don't have a script page written for that, but I will say there seemed to be a time period where everybody had one of these where it was like dubstep and some kind of, I don't know if they made it in some Windows program, but it was this animation of the channel name of whatever channel, XXX Daddy Squisher XXX 3000, whatever. And it would come onto the screen and it would rotate and it would flip and there'd be explosions and there's this dubstep track in the background. And that seemed to be every channel under 10,000 subscribers for years. and it seems to have fallen off for the most part, but there's still, like, if you try and look up a guide, like I looked up a guide to, oddly enough, it was for my mother's microwave, because my mother's microwave just recently stopped working, and so I looked up a guide to troubleshoot the microwave. And it's a troubleshooting video with a 50-year-old man standing there next to a microwave and explaining how to fix this thing. And despite the fact that it's a really old guy talking about a microwave oven, so the audience is not of the age bracket that would appreciate anything at all in this intro. It's still got a really heavily animated intro with really loud, fast-paced music. And it's such a ridiculous juxtaposition compared to the old man standing there saying, all right, I'm going to tell you how to fix a microwave. It's like, what was this for? You just picked a stock intro because, well, I got to have an intro for my videos. Like, first of all, L for using music in a YouTube video, because that's the next item on the list, background music in YouTube videos. I'm going to get that in a second. But long, loud intros on YouTube videos that are like 30 seconds whenever you're making a 3 or 4 minute video is just egregious. There's no reason for that.
I get that watch time.
Apparently
Shocking,
so.
huh?
And I don't even understand, because like most people watch on phones, right? And whenever they see something on the screen that they don't want to see, there's a reflex to double tap the screen until you get past it. Like if somebody comes up and says, oh, this video was brought to you by, you know, whatever insurance company or whatever VPN, double tap the screen, double tap the screen. Same thing happens with these stupid intros. I don't want to see it. I'm not here for it. I'm here for you to tell me how to fix a microwave. So just get to that and don't put a stupid intro at the beginning. Man, this is going to be difficult because I'm going to use a musical symbol, a notation of musical, a notation of music
Treble
for
clef.
the next, for the next one. So I've got to have maybe the YouTube symbol with the music laid behind it. Perfect. Now, I don't think anybody else is annoyed by this as I am. Certainly not as much as I am, but I absolutely hate music in general in videos or in video games. If I was left up to my own devices, I would be putting this in C.
Sing
All right?
about it.
Yeah, let me hum a few bars real quick, show you what I hate. It's that.
It's with TikTok or anything else either. Like I just don't understand why you're promoting somebody's music who you're not getting any kind of kickback off of because any of those sites that you're putting that music on, the background music, it's giving a kickback to the, if they've got it registered, it's getting a kickback to the platform you're on too.
Yeah, because you're losing out on revenue whenever you have that, because you have to rev share with those people that
Right.
publish that song. So it's a double whammy, and just the attitude of why you have music on a video, background music, is insulting to me. And I might be overthinking it, but I don't feel like I am. People have short attention spans. That is a known quantity, and it's getting shorter every single year as content changes and is developed in such a way to cater, not just to cater, but to proliferate that lack of attention span. That evolution, or devolution, that unfortunately we as an entire society are going through as a species. But the music is there to keep your attention the same way it's like jangling keys. It's like, yes, I know that my content isn't intriguing and engaging enough on its own to keep your attention, so let me throw in extra sensory stimulation. So a bunch of edits and animations and explosions and the Among Us sound effects, like wow, ding, 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 that kind of crap. But the background music is there for the same reason. It's because if they don't stimulate every sense that you have, if the person making the video could touch you or like get you to taste something during the video, they would. Because they're trying so hard to keep you engaged with content that is either repeat, filler, or completely unnecessary, similar to the stream. And so they have to come up with a way to keep you from skipping to the next video. Because if they aren't constantly doing this with their background music and with their animations and with their little crap that they put on the screen to divert your attention away from the shallowness and complete uselessness of the content, you'll click to the next video. Like,
It's annoying when every content creator uses the same darn song too. It's like you
yes,
scroll through like 15 videos and they all have the same song you're trying to get away from.
it depending on the content too, like what the nature of the theme of it is. It's usually something from a Mario level, like the ghost the Boo house level, like
Either that or it's that Oh No song that just
oh god, that's more of a TikTok thing, or I guess maybe YouTube Shorts.
yeah, but it's everywhere.
Yeah, that mess. That's like it's insulting because it's like, brother, if I felt like I was going to gain anything by watching your video, I would watch it regardless of the music. But whenever you put background music in a video, it's already telling me that A, you know your content doesn't have its own merit, doesn't have any legs to stand on by itself without having to throw out a bunch of distractions and flashbangs and fireworks. But also B, usually it's like either distracting or it's forcing a theme. Like the idea of if you want to show somebody a sad video, well, you have to have sad music. That way they know to be sad. Or, if it's a video of a clown where you're going to have you're going to have some kind of clown music so that it seems funnier because, funny music and funny clown. Oh, it must be a funny video. Well, it's a mind control thing because music has been proven to very heavily influence the way you perceive whatever it is that you are experiencing as the music is playing. And music is very ingrained, like it creates memories. You have memories of music from your childhood. You have memories tied specifically to music just as much as like tied to smells, because smells also can create very strong memories. Like they have these songs because it creates such a profound mental effect and mental impact, and it changes the way that you perceive whatever it is that you're watching, like a laugh track almost. It's the same idea. It changes the way that you perceive the content, and it's done by people who do not have content that is strong enough on its own to avoid using music. It's insulting, and it just feels like they're trying to trick me whenever they have background music. I feel like that's just it's getting a little stingy with it, but that's how I see it. I don't like the attitude that like overbearing background music has.
I mean, it has its place, but it's not. It doesn't need to be in everything.
Yeah, it really depends on the genre, I suppose. Sometimes music is really needed to build that kind of atmosphere. Because if you're just talking about, say, a crime case with nothing else going on, you're just completely uninvolved. The immersion is a pretty big part of why that music is there.
So you're saying it's there to substitute for things that you would not like, for feelings that you would not be able to experience otherwise, that are necessary for you to be able to feel, to get the full effect and understanding of what the experience is like trying to convey. Kind of like
Yeah, kind of.
kind of like how food advertisers will dress up a picture of a burger so that you can understand by the picture how it tastes, even though whenever you actually get the burger, it doesn't look anything like that, because the preparing of the burger took them like spraying it with WD-40 or PB, like some kind of lubricant or something to make it look like that you definitely wouldn't want to actually bite into.
Hey Bob, music's great on this burger, but I chipped my tooth on the bun.
Why is this burger got concrete in it?
I can see like
But
classical music setting a mood, like behind something.
Oh,
but
yeah, classical music.
maybe
Just
that's
fun
the
all
maybe
around
that's the
people.
thing, because it's the modern music that's really like upbeat and jumpy and stimulates too much versus the old class, your Beethoven and your Chopin and your Tchaikovsky and all that kind of stuff. That it has that feels more respectful whenever you have those kind of sonnets and stuff playing in the background.
Yeah, it's
I
just
can agree with that.
anything with words in it. It kind of I think personally for me it detracts. Unless it's like you're trying to like review like a music video or something, and then it makes sense. But once again, intro stuff. If it has music, if it's really fast and bumpy, and it makes no sense, and it's just totally unattached, and people are gonna move on from it. It's pointless.
Due to the arguments in favor of it, I feel like it would be more fair to not give it the the C that I was going to give it, because I can see it, like it does have some place.
Mm,
It's annoying,
B.
but we'll
I
get
give
over
it a
it. Kind of
B.
an idea. A B, okay.
Because I think it's all dependent on how they do it and if it's done tastefully or not. And most people don't do it tastefully, but
yeah.
there are some people that do.
Being broke. Now,
Oh, That's
You
just
never
bottom of the. You can put that in an F.
I think we all know where being broke is going. This was suggested by a coworker. So at this point, several months ago, I asked this man, and he actually wrote a good 2 pages of this list. He sat on a metal folding chair, and I told him the different things that I already had on the list, and he's like, "Well, I've got some things to add to it." And I said, "Okay, okay." I pulled out my phone. I got my little notepad app on my phone. I was like, "Let's hear it." He sat on that folding chair holding a cut-off piece of aluminum 500 feeder cable, and it was like this long. And as he's sitting there on this, talking about this list, he's rattling off these items, and every single one, he'd be like, being broke. And he'd like thrash the ground with the piece of wire that he was holding to add emphasis to just how much he hated that one specific item. And it was every single one that he would rattle off, he would punctuate by wham! Hit the ground with the piece of wire he was holding. It's a chunky wire too. It's feeder wire. It's like that big around. So it made a satisfying thunk that really drove home the point that he absolutely hated the thing he was talking about. So that was fun. He did have a lot of items to add to it, and some items that I actually can't add because like being banned. But the things that he did, like the stuff that he did say that weren't completely off the chain, did wind up on this list, and there's a lot of it that's here. Most of it involves restaurants, which just goes to show where his head was at the time, because it was just after lunch.
Somebody was hungry.
Yeah. It was just after lunch, and he wasn't quite satisfied, because he's a big dude, and I don't see how he eats as, I don't see how he eats as little as he does when we go to restaurants. If I was his size, I mean, with as much as I eat as it stands, I would have to order double what he's ordering. So yeah, he definitely had not had enough to eat that day, and was probably thinking quite a bit about food, because that's where most of his items were revolving, was food. But the topic of being broke.
I'm kind of split on that myself, because being broke, it allows you, as long as you're not like solely focusing on that, it does give you a point of view to be grateful for when you do have stuff, and it also gives you a point to be grateful for things that aren't monetary, like your family, your health, your things like that. And I've known a lot more people that are broke that are happier than people who have money.
That's so fucking true.
I get that, like, it can definitely help you with your perspective and help you value things. I still feel like being broke puts you at such a huge vulnerability. We have to have money to be able to buy things. We have to have money to be able to eat. Like, unless you just know how to go out and, blast a deer or a squirrel, you're going to suffer tremendously without money.
You are, but it can also force you to learn those trades that you might not have otherwise wanted to learn. So it would, in a way, it could also better yourself.
But I do feel like 99% Trump seeks stay of sentencing. Man, get out of here with the news pop-ups.
Yes.
I do feel like
We know he's not broke.
man's not worried about money at all. I do feel like there's not very many benefits to it, and like in the short and the long term, no matter how you slice it or dice it, being broke is a life-threatening problem in a society that is based on the idea of trading and consumerism and capitalism, and with so few ways of being able to have a house or have nutrition without relying on money to get that. Like, unless you're just wanting to go squatting or camping out in the woods or, roughing it, being a frontiersman, you really don't have a way to live. At least in America, at least where I'm at.
You're scrounging, but
yeah, without having money. And 99.9% of people can't rough it. They can't just walk out into the woods and know what part of the tree to eat, and most people just can't survive without it. It is life-threatening to not have money.
that beautiful oak tree, I think I'm going to take a bite out of it.
Yeah, let me go gnaw on this pine cone here. I know it's got pine.
Oh, now I have no teeth.
I'm being poked by 1,000 splinters now, but hey, I can actually eat. I don't think that this can go anywhere besides F, because for the majority of people, this can be deadly.
I do think, however, that everybody should experience it at least once in their life, just so that they can be grateful when they do have money.
Next item is wind knocking over potted plants. Anybody had a potted plant besides me?
Yeah, I've had
not.
potted plants, but they're all indoors.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you're
Well, actually, I take that back. There's pepper plants that I plant in the summertime.
in pots though. You actually plant them in pots. You don't plant them in the ground.
I have to because I've got my ground is all rocks, so
Okay.
I live on the mountain, so I have nothing but rock, and I'm not putting topsoil down.
How about just having your potted plant knocked over in general? Because my cat knocks over our potted plants all the time, and I always have to pick up the mulch or whatever, the dirt, put the plant back in all neatly.
Well, I had an aloe plant named Herman.
Oh,
Now, I did not name the plant. My sister, who gave it to me, named it Herman. It was knocked over multiple times, not by the wind, but by the dude with a backpack blower.
There's one of those right now.
Yeah, who would come and get my yard taken care of. It was the landscaping crew that my apartment, my landlord had come out and do our grass and everything. And they would, whenever they got done cutting grass, they would come around with a leaf blower and blow off the porches so that we didn't have grass trimmings all over them. Yeah, Herman got knocked over 3 or 4 times. Still kicking though. Aloe plants are tough. Now you are hard pressed to get an aloe plant to die. But sure enough, about the 5th or 6th time this thing got knocked over, it finally bit it. It finally gave up. And I felt so bad because my sister was so happy to give that to me. It was for like my birthday or something. I never even got to use it. Like the whole idea of having an aloe plant is it's there if you like burn yourself or something. But I never needed it. It got knocked over, and I was like, well, that's unfortunate. Threw it off in the woods and forgot about it until my sister came over one day. It's like, where's Herman? It was on your porch. You got to put me on the spot. Herman and I, it had a falling out with its pot. Yeah, I mean, you could just get another plant. But that experience right there at least put it on this list because I did not feel good about my sister coming over and it's like, where's Herman? Weevils.
Just in general, weevils.
The species weevils. Anybody have any experience with weevils?
The only experience I've ever had with it was when I went to go look for the first house to purchase, and the whole house foundation was screwed up because of weevils.
My goodness, they were like burrowing in there like termites?
Yeah. They had termites too. I looked at it and I'm like, oh no. And they had a whole barn that was all. Yeah, it was a nice. Would have been a beautiful house had they had gotten it taken care of. But
only weevils that I've experienced, that I've ever met and spoken to, have been weevils in my mother's rice bags because my mother liked buying bagged rice, and every time that she would get it, she would have to take it out of the bag that it was in and put it in a container, like a canister of rice, and keep it in that. Because if she left it in the original container, no matter what brand it was, if she left it in the original container, it would wind up with weevils in it. Just from like the rice factory where they packaged the rice, it would end up with weevils all in it, and it was nasty.
They're just giving you an extra boost of protein, man.
Apparently, so. With Cindy having been affected by weevils a little bit more directly, you could very easily influence this if you chose. Where would you put it?
Nah, it's just an annoyance. I mean, I didn't buy the house, so.
So you're fine with an A tier?
Yeah, it's just, like I said, they're more of an annoyance than anything.
Gotcha. Pallet jacks with a broken lever.
Throw it out?
This is a little bit of a specific case.
Yeah.
Or fix it.
Actually, there are several items on here for pallet jacks. So I'm just going to say pallet jacks in general, because the next one is screws on the floor when using a pallet jack. Pallet jacks are annoying because there's so many ways that they could fail to function. They have one job: take thing from here to over here. And there are so many varieties of crap that you can get into just trying to navigate a pallet jack, whether it's something on the floor, because the smallest particle, a screw, a rock, like an uneven part of the floor can just stop a pallet jack. If the jack that you're using is not the correct size or shape for the pallet that you're trying to work it into, you might not be able to get it back out. If the
I'll
pallet,
go as far as to say anything with casters or wheels are like that too.
yeah, like carts and like inventory
Yep.
carts, LBIC, yeah, that just those little tiny wheels that have no traction and have no get up and go. They're not inflatable. They're not rubber. They're like what plastic or something, and they get stopped so quickly on everything. But with a pallet jack, sometimes the action will break where you can squeeze the handle all you want and the pallet won't go down. Or you could push the handle down and then jack on it, and you could jack on it and pump that thing over and over and over again. The pallet won't move because the action on the inside is broke.
Hit when a jack and doesn't move.
Yes. Hate when I jack and pump and nothing happens.
Isn't that another? That's another annoyance.
Yes, okay, that's not going on this list. But like pallets that are wooden and have the braces on the bottom, because like the best pallets in the world are milk pallets that are plastic that just sit on top of the pallet jack, and you can pick them up off of the jack. They don't slide in, like they don't have a brace that goes up under where you have to bump the wheel up over it. You just slide it right under it. Those are the best pallets that milk crates come on. But the ones that have a brace that goes under it for structural stability, that the pallet jack has to bump the wheels up over to get it under there, they will become stuck 40% of the time. It's so annoying to get one stuck, and then it's a heavy pallet. So you think, okay, well, if I snatch on it, the pallet will hold itself in place and I can free the jack. But no, it doesn't come out until it actually does, and then you hit yourself in the ribs with the handle. Pallet jacks have always dogged me. They're terrible. I would prefer a forklift over a pallet jack any day of the week, twice on Sunday. I don't care how small the aisle is. I can get a forklift in and out of very tight spaces with very little risk. But a pallet jack, there's way too many ways they can screw up. Has anybody else used a pallet jack, or am I just the only one who's had an issue with this?
No, I've used them. They're annoying, but like I said, I think the biggest annoyance is like the one that you have next coming up, which is a screw or a rock or something on the floor, and then it suddenly stops, and it's like another like going full speed trying to get out to someone, and then you hit it, and you got somebody on the back of the pallet. Well, you're not supposed to have somebody riding on the pallet jack, but we did anyway. Where you hit a freaking rock or
what is
something, they go flying over the handles, or into you.
Hey, I put seatbelts on that son of a gun.
But like I said, it also affects things like in retail, like those ladders that they move around and you step on and it drops down so you can get up to the top tier.
Yeah.
Those do the same thing. If you hit a rock or anything on them, instant stop.
And then the wheels get damaged over time too. And they get damaged so easily. Like a screw, if you run over a screw with a pallet jack and the pallet that you're carrying is sufficiently heavy, it will embed itself in the wheel, and then you can get like a flathead screwdriver and fish the screw out, and that hole is always there once you get the screw out. It's always got a divot in the wheel, and you'll feel it bump constantly. And it's like pushing a shopping cart that's got an uneven wheel.
All I gotta say is at least the forklifts don't come to a screeching halt when you run over a nail or something.
Yep, they don't care. They'll just run right over it. You might hear a tink, and you might feel a little rise, but yeah, it's not going to stop. It just keeps going. So if it was me, I would put it in B.
Yeah, I don't run into it every day, so it's not a major annoyance for me.
For me personally, whenever that happens at work, I want to call off. That shit makes me so mad. I hate when the floor is just dirty in general and covered in things like that can get stuck on.
Mm-hmm.
That is so frustrating.
Would you prefer
like those little panhead screws?
Yeah, panheads are that's the main thing that stops it on a job site. And it's not even that opens up a whole can of worms with the damn framers who throw the panheads like you sink one screw and then you throw 12 on the floor. It's just like they're trying to feed chickens out here with screws. They just scoop them out of the bag and they toss them on the ground. I did a short on framers a while back where I was just that was the idea. They just throw screws everywhere. They don't pick them up. God forbid they pick up a broom and sweep. I guess what people say about electricians is electricians, they don't use brooms. They leave their little wire strippings and wire nuts around everywhere and confound it. Have you ever seen a framer work? Not talking about the idiots that work on wood studs, because they don't count. Carpenters don't count. But no, the people that actually work on real man studs, the metal studs,
Man, studs.
the steel studs, that's the stuff that'll drive you up the wall.
It's very situational, but when it happens, it's the worst thing ever. So I would put it at C.
See? Okay. I'll move it.
Honestly, I would.
Do a little bit of Windows Paint trickery here. How do I do this? And then what? Refill? Yes. I'm a genius. All right, so that got moved to C.
Hey, I got a new one for you. How it's a new annoyance. How many different programs do you have to use to create a rating scale?